to school, there were certain teachers who would hurt the children any way they could.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the English
By
lesson.
throwing their derision upon anything we did, exposing every weakness, however carefully hidden by the kid.
This is an important song and the musical background is always necessary to start the lesson.
But
So now we speak about food preservation, physical methods. I know that with somebody of you, we already treated this text and this issue, but I want to start from here to go ahead with this speech and with this issue. So about the preservation of food, you should know some physical methods, some natural process, and some also chemical methods. Now we are going to speak about natural processes like air drying or sun drying, and why is physical methods and physical food preservation methods so important? Because these methods tend to affect food by changing its temperature or water content. So the first thing you should do is try to warm up your brain and to try to understand without any reading the match and doing the match of these words to these other ones that are the Italian translation. So you should understand and you should read the text after me. At the moment I can tell you that natural processes are, for example, air drying. The air drying is used specifically for herbs, and sun drying is used to dry fruit or soak fish. Soak fish is stoccafisso, and spray drying using a hot gas to reduce products like milk or eggs to powder, for example, or freeze drying food quickly at very low temperatures to preserve the food. And it is usually used to produce freeze-dried ice cream or instant coffee. But in these products is not mentioned food for astronauts and athletes. The other process really important to know for your work is the microfiltration. That is another preservation method based on removing solid particles, in a liquid or gas by passing them through a microporous membrane. This process is used for purifying liquids like milk, juices, and especially beers and wine, and it is gradually substituting the more traditional pasteurization because it preserves the organoleptic qualities of food. So that is a modern preservation method more than the traditional pasteurization. Now we go to see what is pasteurization and what your book means for that. Pasteurization and sterilization are thermal treatments. What does it mean? Pasteurization is food, usually liquid, to a specific temperature for a specific length of time and then cools it immediately. This process slows the growth of microorganisms in food. Originally used to prevent wine and beer from souring, today many foods like canned foods, dairy products and juices are also pasteurized. Sterilizing kills harmful microorganisms at a very high temperature but for a short time, so preserving the flavor in canned food, jam, marmalade, and pickles, and of course UHT, ultra heat treated or long life milk. So it's important that you understand better what the book means for each one of these methods and what is the difference between, for example, microfiltration and pasteurization, between pasteurization and sterilization. So what is in common from for the pasteurization and sterilization methods is that are thermal treatments, but the pasteurization is food, usually liquid, to a specific temperature for a specific length of time, and then cools it immediately. Sterilizing kills harmful microorganisms at a very high temperature. That is the first difference between these two, but for a short time, not for a length of or for a specific length of time, but for a short time. So preserving the flavor in canned food like jam, marmalade, and pickles, and of course UHT, ultra heat treated, like long life milk. And originally pasteurization is used to prevent wine and beer from souring. So I invite you to find the translation of these words: souring, pickles. And if you don't understand something else, please ask me. Souring is like acidificazione. Pickles is like sottaceti. And I invite you to do the exercise number 2, reading comprehension, and to complete this in your book, and trying to do this exercise vocabulary using these words in the box and their definitions. For example, what is powder? Powder is a soft dry substance that looks like dust or sand, so is something that you can explain in this way. This exercise helps you to speak better and to increase your vocabulary. So please do it and try to memorize each definition for each word. Now I give you the possibility to listen the exercise number 4. If you don't have your book, so listen to a chef talking about different code preservation techniques and decide if these sentences are true or false. Let's listen.
Exercise 4. Freezing is a very effective method for preserving highly perishable food, as it completely destroys 30 to 70% of bacteria. However, it does lead to a deterioration of a food's original properties, as well as a loss of the nutritional value of frozen produce such as meat, fish, or vegetables. With regards to fish, and particularly crustaceans, freezing at sea limits the loss of taste, visual and nutritional value, as well as extending shelf life. Deep freezing is a process where food cools to at least -18 degrees Celsius quickly within 4 hours. The advantages are minimal changes to the original fresh food, especially notable in vegetables. Some frozen vegetables, such as green peas and sweet corn, may even have a superior flavour to fresh ones, thanks to the development of a preservation technology known as the Individually Quick Frozen, IQF method. As the name suggests, IQF freezes individual pieces of fruit and vegetables at a temperature as low as minus 196 degrees Celsius in only 10 to 12 minutes with liquid nitrogen. Cryogenic freezing is a similar low environmental impact technique as it uses carbon dioxide and nitrogen. In this method, the outer layers of the food are taken to far below their actual freezing point by passing quickly through a tunnel cooled by liquid nitrogen to as low as minus 62.2 to minus 84.4 degrees Celsius. This works well for fish, meat and vegetables, as well as frozen desserts. Finally, refrigeration is when the preserving temperature allows the water contained inside the products not to solidify and therefore to keep the cell's structure intact. Many products can and should be refrigerated, including dairy products and cold cuts of meat. This method can be also applied to fruit and vegetables in a controlled atmosphere with a low concentration of oxygen, but in this case, product preservation is limited to just a few days.
Okay, so now the exercise you have to do in your own and at home is to listen again the listen 1.4b and do exercise number 4 and exercise number 5. Listen again and fill in the missing information in the number spaces. And what the exercise aim is like you should to be able to speak about these physical methods of food preservations and try to express the definitions of purifying, organoleptic, thermotreatments, souring, and trying to organize a speech in order to express also the characteristics of each process. And for now, the exercises to do is this. Now we go ahead, because next page you have some chemical methods, and I would like to ask you, I'd like that you would be able to speak also about chemical methods and physical, chemical and biological methods, doing exercise 2 of the reading comprehension, and both the reading comprehension of page 118, 119, doing also exercise 1 of both warm-up. And what you can do is to stress and underline all the most relevant information. For example, chemical preservation methods must be considered as an alternative and less expensive methods than physical methods, but not as substitutes for a correct preservation of food at room temperature. Chemical preservation methods include both natural and artificial substances, so this is not completely natural like the other ones we read together. So please try to have a look at these texts, both of these texts, and doing both of the reading comprehension, this one and this one. So for today is enough, and I'm continuing to put some other material, and I will ask you to do some exercises to give me back, to send it back, so I will inform you on that. Thank you for the attention, and see you next time.
And the time was long, but when they got home at night, refresh them.